Hello, welcome back to Mirror Interpretation Todorova. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Joanna and I am an interpreter. Thank you guys for being here despite my absence. I really appreciate that. For whoever watching me for the first time, my name is Joanna and I am an interpreter with Bulgarian, Italian, Russian, Macedonian, and English languages. And I have been away for a really long time because I had a PRK and eye surgery, and I am back. I'm back. This is my first live in a very long time. And I will do a short live. Thank you for watching me, and it's gonna be called. Um, as you see, I typed the name, but I just want to read a question. Somebody sent me this question. Alvaro Santa Cruz sent me this question, and it's called, have you ever had to discuss the pay rate after you got the job and you realize you should earn more? This is Thank you so much for your question, Alvaro. In fact, I did have experience like that. So this video is gonna be a real story about my experience, realizing that I should have asked more about a job and how I handle this. But before I start, please, guys, if you find my channel, hi, how are you, Erilda? Thank you. Okay, yes. So I'm very happy that you can guys relate to this question. This has been happening to me many times in the beginning. Here in the USA, I was probably quite lucky in Europe or in other countries because the people tell me in advance, even if they're gonna pay me a little bit less. For example, business to business, sometimes they didn't pay me the full day, but they pay me full days in a row for few. And business is a different field. So the reason why we interpreters fail into this situation is because we don't do our homework. And so hereby, I have mentioned this several times in my other videos. I'm so sorry. I hate that you guys can see my private pictures. This is not professional. I'm apologizing. Okay, here we are. Gonna put it on the floor. So said that, yes, why it happens that we stipulate a contract, we agree to do a job for certain amount, and then suddenly we realize that we sell ourselves too cheap, or we were taken advantage of. We agree to some kind of a rate, and then we realize that that's actually not the type of job that we did. This type of situations, unfortunately, I don't want to say Americans are dishonest because it's not Americans. More normally, it's third party companies, that it's not people that are from here, that they are people from, I would say, Mexico or some other countries. I don't want to say nothing against Mexico because I have very great friends from Mexico. But it just happens that people, when they come to America, they change. They change in a way that they get into this money making machine and they start to try to take advantage from everyone. Uh, Similar as Napolitanian culture, they have this um, this say in Italy that the people from Napoli or Nepal, Napoli, Italy, they are trying to take even the bread out of their brother's plate. This is how they like to fraud and take advantage. But let's get out of the nationality. This can happen to everybody, to every culture, everywhere. Is very beautiful people, very honest, and very dishonest, and people that are trying to take advantage of you or make money out of your work. So I don't mind when somebody do money of my work. I'm very happy. I am building myself and they are building themselves, and I am grateful for that. But I will tell you, in my opinion, this type of situation here in the USA happen when people get side jobs. I believe. I know I've been talking to quite a lot of interpreters for different projects lately, and I know that a lot of you guys take between 17 and $25 medium range for medical. You also charge the same for business, you charge the same for banking, the same for legal, the same for. You just want to do the money. And I understand this. When you need to pay the bills, you got to do the money, right? But the matter of the fact is that it's very early for me and I like to be quiet in the morning and I'm just back and it's so hard for me to do those lives because I am a quiet person in the morning. So I'm gonna have my cup of coffee. You can get your coffee as well. Mm. And right here, I'd like to tell you guys, um, I have a join button if you like to be part of my community. There is about 20 something videos that are just for members only. And also, I can address your questions. In this lives is available for subscribers and below my videos, I put notes for members that they can ask questions that I'm going to address directly in my lives. So let's go back to our situation. You stipulate an amount. I want to marry to a medical translation. You gotta love what you do. I bet. I bet. I feel like I'm already married to all the things that I do and I love them. And so I'm so happy when see passionate people. And you do make me smile. Thank you. Your YouTube name is really beautiful. I appreciate you being here. So I'm not talking only about interpreting, but a lot of times we do sell ourselves cheap. And the reason why is because in the interpreting there is this little doors that allows the company. I don't want to say all the companies do it purposely. Sometimes people doesn't even know exactly the type of the call. Sometimes people do stipulate a contract and they do need an interpreter for a certain language or they do not need a certain service or product. And then they stipulate you, and then when you start work you realize that this job is different. The job is different from what is stipulated. The service is different. The hours, the amount, the effort, everything is different. And you realize that you agree to this minimum rate, thinking that it's going to be some kind of a simple consecutive session. And then you realize that is legal, that is simultaneous, consecutive. It lasts way longer than the predicted time. And you couldn't just cut. So it happens to me in a different moments. Like sometimes you stipulate a contract and you start to work and the time go beyond, let's say 2 hours beyond the stipulated time, and you're not sure if you're gonna get paid for this extra 2 hours. You agree for this minimum rate and then you realize that this is some very complicated session that requires, I'm talking about extremely financial or extremely medical or genetics or something, or this workers comp or school autistic evaluations that last for many many hours. And so you're in the middle of the call, your time as stipulated on the agreement is over. If it was 1 hour or 2 hours, normally for me I require 2 hours to make me available. The minimum payment for me, I require 2 hours, even if you ask me to speak and interpret for 5 minutes. This is my request. So, but although I have these safety blankets, as most of the interpreters, there's still situations that I have been into. I am stipulated for 2 hours. They stipulate me. They told me it's gonna be a simple, I don't know, immigration, and then it become medical and become extremely technical and legal and get to these legal things that are very very technical, and then the time is over and you're still there but you already sell yourself for x amount. It happened to me in person interpreting for company called Day Translation, but I already stipulate the agreement, and even though it took me half day, I already sell myself for 2 hours, and the amount was like $100. It was not a lot, and I had to drive 1 hour to there to Centennials to the immigration, pass the scanner, all this, wait, then go for the interview, then interview go longer than predicted. So I didn't make as I didn't have experience working in the U6 in the immigration office or in the court directly at this time, because I did it from the phone, I didn't calculate the 1 hour drive, the hour drive back, the time that you're gonna wait for the immigration officer to get to your interview. I didn't calculate all that, and I agree for certain amount. And you're there in the immigration or in the court, you cannot just get up and walk and say, "Excuse me, my time is over." You can't do this. So if you agree to sell yourself for X amount, you gotta play the game. You want a bike, you got a bike. That's what they say in Europe. So same happened to me with the video remote. Somebody contacted me and asked me. It was Italian language. I still remember the name of the lady. Her name was Alexandra. So she contacted me for Bulgarian language, and she said to me, "It's not gonna be interpreting; it's gonna be monitoring." And I think she gave me some, not too much money for 2 hours. It was like 30 something, but still, I was not. I was this service was requested like a monitoring and from time to time to assist. And obviously, you know that monitoring is very different from interpreting. I personally believe that monitoring is more challenging than interpreting, because you gotta not only take the notes, but you gotta stop and not interpret and monitor the other person if they understand, and then find the mistake and say interpreter number two is interacting, the word blah 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 is correctly said, the meaning is correctly this. So monitoring, I will tell you, monitoring should be paid more. I will tell you also why companies have so hard time to test you in two languages, because they need a person in one language and in the another language. And then the same test that is done in person there, somebody have to check the mistakes and the omissions that you did. And I have to tell you that when I do monitoring on myself on some of my calls that I record and then use them as a script for my videos, I do see that I do have some omissions. It's human, especially if it's in the end of the week, Friday, 4 p.m. I will tell you, it's natural, it's normal. So, monitoring should be paid more. So, I was requested to do this monitoring, and the call, the video remote interpreting, the video remote session was presented to me as X session, consecutive, easy, and don't worry, and it's gonna be like this, it's gonna be like that. And basically the person was very friendly. Once again, I repeat, if somebody is friendly with you, trying to stipulate, this is a red flag, guys. I am a very friendly person. I can chat for hours. If you do some projects with me, you can ask Jose. If I have time, I like to philosophize and talk about different things, and I like to rediscover my brain through other people's opinion, other people's. I When I listen other people speak, for me, it's opening my mind, it's opening my reality, my world, even if I don't agree with what they say. So for me, it's so beautiful to talk to people. And but if it's gonna be for work, I'm not gonna do this, because what business is business and cheese is money. That's what they say here. So this person contacted me. I will start with this video session, and she said to me that it's gonna be mainly monitoring. I suppose that you guys have been in a similar situation where somebody contact you and they ask you and they tell you. I also have similar experience with translation. Okay, the first time that I have this story, it happened to me. I will start with first in person. In person, you stipulate agreement, and now I'm gonna give you a few hacks or few things that you should know and you should request before you agree to go in person. Okay, I will separate the in person in medical and legal in USIC or whatever the interviews that could be legal. So how I stipulate my in-person session. First of all, the in-person sessions I do charge more. I charge at least $10 to $15 more than the telephonic interpretation. And I will explain you why. So I'm gonna give you like how I am or what I require when somebody say, hello, Ioana, we'd like to contract you in person for this language. Let's say it's Russian. The lower language, the base rate is like similar to Spanish. They said to me, I want a Russian for medical. So let's say it's a medical in person. I asked them, okay, where is the location? So most of them said, oh, it's very close to you. Well, I will tell you. They say it's close to you, but then you have to drive sometimes 1 hour, 45 minutes. So the number one thing, if it's close to me, very well, I request 50 cents per mile from my home. If it's 50 miles, if it's 100 miles, you gotta pay me for me driving, okay? So you have to request mileage reimbursement. And trust me, if they don't pay me for mileage, I am not excited to work with them. But okay, let's say that they don't want to pay me per mileage, but they will pay me higher rate per hour. So let's say I request mileage 50 cents and they say, no, we cannot afford that. I said, okay, guys, you don't want to pay me per mileage. I'm going to charge them per hour, higher rate. So the number two thing, I require a minimum hours of payment. Minimum hour of payment. And this means for medical, for me, it's 2 hours. And I give them a range of 25 miles, which means that if you're going to make me drive 25 miles or 0 to 25, I'm requesting you to pay me for at least 2 hours. Again, I repeat, I'm not going to stipulate how much I charge because I do have 3 master's degrees and I have 18 years of experience. I am not excited to go in the hospital. I'm apologizing. I know some people like. I discovered that it's not something that is exactly my passion. Yes, I am very excited to do business in person, but I'm not excited to go to the hospital, unfortunately. So I require mileage. I require 2 hours of minimum. And I will tell you, I think that you should request 2 hours and a half to 3 hours minimum for medical, because the matter of the fact is that you're gonna drive 1 hour. You're gonna sometimes they schedule you for one, but they pay you for two. So if they schedule me for one, I request 2 hours. But if I'm scheduled for 2 hours, you gotta cover yourself for three, at least for three. And the reason why is because when you start working and they schedule you for 2 hours, a lot of things in the hospital doesn't function exactly by the clock. There are some clinics that are very, very late and you tend to overstay. Step number three, overtime. All of my contracts, and I know a lot of people stipulate the minimum hours. They're like, oh yeah, I'm very happy. And then they have extra 15, 20, 30, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes. Yes, it did happen to me that I went to the hospital for 1 hour and I spent 6 hours interpreting. So because there was an accident there in the hospital and we were all locked inside with no phone, cold, freezing, and all this. Okay. So cover yourself on the stipulation. I'm going to go back in the end about what happens when you do a job and you realize that. But why I'm giving you these hacks about how to stipulate the contract? Because if you don't cover yourself in the end, if you agree to do a job for $20, you have to do it by contract. Because a lot of those companies do something that is called contratto moroso in Italiano, which means a contract that cover their interest only. None of those contracts that you guys sign, I bet you don't even read, and none of those contracts covers you. None of those contracts says to you, okay, I just want to go back to the point that overtime, you got to charge for overtime. Normally, I do give I give 5 to 15 minutes grace period for overtime, and then I'm expected to be paid hourly extra 1 hour. But usually, I did speak with somebody. I met someone in this social meeting, and this person do government contracting, and he tells me, if somebody of my clients requests me to stay overtime for more than 2 minutes, they have to pay me double for each extra hour. So if you stipulate a contract that after the stipulated time of 2 hours, your clients keeps you, they voluntarily agree to pay you extra time, this is how you cover yourself. Because I will tell you why the serious people do this, because when you actually stipulated to be paid extra for this extra hour, and you did had another agreement, because the matter of the fact is, I don't know about you guys, but I have to make the time to interpret for this person, and I always have to calculate 15 to 20 minutes more, and I have to calculate the time to go to my next appointment. Eventually, if you do a lot of appointments in person, which I don't like to do, but talking business, we're talking business right now. So you stipulate a contract, you never talk about being paid if you stay more than the stipulated time. I can bet nobody did, and I personally didn't do it, because I didn't even imagine that this can happen to me. And obviously, because I was paid by day in Europe. And if I stay extra, they pay me extra without me saying anything. But here in America, people are a little bit more avid for money, and I would say tend to be quiet, more dishonest, unfortunately. Not all of them, not all of them. But so you're at an appointment overtime. Overtime, you have to stipulate in the contract. Okay. Variation number two, you're booked for appointment, and this is why I haven't signed with this company. So see, I haven't re-signed my contract, because they can cancel until last minute, until the time before you start interpreting, even if they send you to another city and pay you zero 24 hours. If you have an appointment tomorrow at 10, they can still cancel at 9:55 and pay you zero. For me, you have to have a very solid cancellation policy, because some of these companies do stipulate contracts with you, and because you don't know how to stipulate the contracts, you agree for very little money, and then they can cancel and vent on you and disappear, and there is nothing you can do, because you signed this, you agree to this. So this mindset that we are so hungry to get the job, we are so hungry to get the next $100 or $200, I don't know, whatever is the session amount there. And I'm so sorry, this is my work line. um I know it's a bad time to do it, because I will go back to work very soon after this live. So the cancellation policy, you have to be really hard. And when I said hard, I mean you really have to have uh, balls. When I say that, I mean you have to be very firm in the pre-contracting, and you have to be very firm with yourself and what you're willing to do and the amount that you're gonna do it, and not complain in the worst case scenario. So the cancellation policy is another thing. You're stipulated, and then cancellation policy, they cancel last minute and you don't even get the minimum payment. If somebody schedule you for a time, a week, they have to pay you the minimum of 2 hours. This is my opinion. I sometimes pay people that did terrible job. I do. And I would never work with these people again. There was this lady that did Russian translation for me. Unfortunately. So some of these situations you have to cover yourself. So this is about the medical, legal, and USIC. I again repeat, you should charge at least 4 hours. This is my opinion. Normally they give you 3 hours of a minimum. A lot of companies offer, if you're gonna go to do USIC, immigration court, or any court appointment, the minimum is 3 hours. Of course, they try to pay you the minimum amount for these 3 hours. But I will tell you my second experience, that somebody stipulated a contract with me and they asked me to work for 2 hours. I work 5, but I agreed to be paid for 2, and I didn't calculate the driving. Once again, if they're not going to pay you to drive, you have to charge them $15 more an hour for every hour, and you have to charge at least 3 hours minimum. The reason why is because not only you're going to drive, some of these court buildings are in downtown where you're going to have an extra $10 to $15 for parking. Then you need another 25 minutes to pass the scanners. You got to look beautiful, professional. There is a bunch of distraction in the court. You see a lot of not pleasant things, a lot of desperation vibe is in these detention centers and court for it's like it's not fun. It's not how this company, for example, this one present you the work it's very very tough there, and you deal with extreme cases of abuse and mental illnesses, and when you interpret these statements, believe it or not, this impact you psychologically, emotionally, and and after one of these sessions of 3 4 hours in the court or whatever, or in the immigration office, you are burned out. I swear to you, you're burned out. And I have seen bad things. I come from poor country. I'm not this fragile flower growing in a glass house. I am not. Yes, so these type of things that you assist there are not easy to handle. So a lot of people charge the same money, and then you go there. If you hear immigration, or if you hear anything, I'm so sorry, if you hear anything like uh, they would not tell you, but you gotta stipulate in your contract that if by chance you go, for example, for a normal, I don't know, they give you some type of jobs and it comes out that is different than what's stipulated, you as an interpreter have a right to charge the exact amount if they stipulated for consecutive medical, and instead of that was simultaneous legal and medical, you should be able to correct the amount. Once again, I am not avid for money. I'm not crazy for money. I'm happy with what I'm doing. So for me, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I would be okay with getting paid a little bit less. I have one of these clients, I do Russian with them, and we do workers' comp, but they are very nice to me. So it's okay. They pay me long hours. Even if it stays 6, 7, 8, 9 at night, they will pay me even double at night, or double overtime, or double after stipulated hours. So just have in mind that when you agree, a lot of them do this in person. I don't know why. They do it for in person and for legal. And when they schedule you for video remote, or suddenly somebody find you on Instagram and say, hey, you know what, I need somebody Bosnian or Serbo-Croatian, which is a rare language, and they ask you last minute, do you charge people last minute? I do. $100 more if you ask me to work for you 3 days, less than 3 days in advance, you're gonna be charged more. There's also this company lately that been asking me for Macedonian, and they always keep asking me last minute. I am really so disturbed by these emails that they send me. So last time I asked them $2,000. I didn't say no. I said, okay, yeah, give me $2,000 tomorrow. I will interpret for you legal. I will be on your availability full day. Of course, they didn't answer to me, but I just wanted to show them that you cannot expect me to be available for you last minute like that, and trying to give me $20 an hour. Like, I can work as a server and make probably $100 an hour, which I did, which I know I'm capable of. So the first situation that I interpret in the USIC, and why I ask you to ask more for USIC, is because you have to pass the scanner. You're locked inside. You cannot even go to the restroom without a policeman walking out with you, and all this, and ask all the court to stop. So this whole thing, it's kind of complicated in the detention centers. In the detention centers, you go in jail. Same thing with legal. If you have to go and interpret in court itself, you leave, your belongings are locked, and you enter, and you're deprived of your freedom. And yes, you should be paid, because trust me, the judge that you work for take these numbers that you cannot even imagine. And I'm not gonna, I respect their work, but I will tell you, if you're not going to be able to have your freedom, and you have to be there, and you cannot even go to the restroom normally, you have to be paid for this. So for legal, they give you 3 hours. I think it's legal to ask at least 4 hours of a minimum payment if they don't pay you for parking and for driving. And of course, ask more than medical. If my basic rate will be 25 for telephonic, I'm giving you an example because every language is different, but let's say basic Spanish is between 19 and 24. Let's say I ask 25 for Spanish for telephonic. In person, I'm going to ask 30, 35, medical, and 35 to 45 will be my desired legal with at least 3 hours of a minimum. First time that I realized that I was played over, it was by this company, J Translation. I interpret. I was there more than 4 hours. I come back, it was 2 o'clock already. So I lose 6 hours of my day and I was paid only for two. And I agreed to this. I got $100. There was nothing I could do. There was nothing that I wanted to deal with this company because they also was very problematic. I even send them, if you are a subscriber, you could see the video that I describe it, that I released them from payment so they stop harassing me, because they were trying to force me to use some strange payment method, and I require a check or direct deposit. As we're in America, they're in America, they were trying to cover some income. I don't know, it was very, very unpleasant. I just didn't even want to deal with this company ever again. The second time, and I think a lot of times happen for this request that you have for in-person interpretation, they call you and they say, hey, you know what, we need that language. Can you cover this language there? But they are not your regular clients. This is when they take advantage of you. So if they're not your regular clients, you should, I don't want to say max them out because I think let's not be avid, but ask them a reasonable amount with a reasonable doubt if the job is different. I would like to stipulate that in the contract. If you don't want to, you don't, but you have to have a word about this. This time happened to me when I was for video remote for monitoring. Instead of monitoring, the call was legal, simultaneous. There was one of the person had a disease. They have a legal representative. They were talking about banking, money, payments. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have to finish this live to get to do some money. But said that, let me pause my one of these platforms that I think is them ringing. I will have a break here. Okay. We are on break with them, so this device not gonna ring. So said that once I realized that this company X was they said to me it's gonna be monitoring, it's gonna be simple, don't worry, it's gonna be very easy, yada yada yada, Then the call end, and normally if I am booked like this for video remote or a special call, I do have the habit to send um, feedback, how the call went. I call it feedback, but normally it's a structured official email. I put my name and I put the date and the time. I put the duration of the call, the type of the call, the type of the interpretation, and that the call went well and that the customer were very content with the service that I provide, and then the expectation for me to be paid. So when I did this email, when I sent the email in the end, I said, I'm very disappointed to inform you, but that was not the type of call that you presented. That was not monitoring, that was simultaneous and medical. There was a lot of financial and a lot of legal parts. And I told her that, in my opinion, this call should cost $120 an hour, not this little amount that was even below 40 that we stipulated. And I said, just because I feel that I really come very openly and very friendly, trying to start a new opportunity with you. I don't like when somebody is dishonest with me, and I would not like to have any further collaboration with you. I sent this to the lady because I don't like this feeling of being crooked or fraud. It's just not beautiful. We all try to do money, and if you didn't have a budget, you could still tell me and say, hey, you know what, I know this is gonna be the call, but I have that budget. So this person continued the conversation with me. For my surprise, she said she's so sorry, she apologized. This was how the call was presented to her as well. So you have to have in mind that also for me, sometimes I get requests for X job, and I ask somebody for availability, and then it comes out that is not X but is Y. When the job arrive, for example, translation, somebody they ask me certain and I give them a rate, and then when the document come is completely different, because some people try to take advantage of young interpreters or translators that does not have experience. They describe something, they ask for a rate, you stipulate a rate, and then once you get the job, you see is completely something else. And I said that I'm very disappointed of this. Obviously I said I did agree for this amount that I agreed. There is nothing I can do, but I don't just find this beautiful. Money is not everything to me, and I am happy to do this for free. I love my job. I am happy to do it for free. In certain cases I am, like for example, I there is this center for domestic violence that I am volunteering. Yes, because I believe that they what they do is valuable, and I wanna give, no? So I'm gonna be happy to do free service. And sometimes I know some people contact me, they, hey, you know what, I don't have that much money. I remember this person contacted me for their music interview, and I said, okay, don't worry, I will do it for $100. And honestly, it was like this. He was honest. I was like, okay, fine, it's cool. He said, I'm so sorry, and share some of their story. And I said, fine, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, because it is not gonna change my life, less, more, $100, and no, none of this money that you're working for is changing your life. What is changing your life is your mindset. And if you do what you like to do, and if you're happy with what you do, and if you're content with yourself, the money is just additional benefit. But this hungriness and desperation to do this X amount is changing with you're changing. When your mindset is different, the money, it's not this, you're not so desperate to sell yourself for certain amount, or like feel so bad when somebody takes advantage of you. So when I start talking to this lady that she requests my services, and then it was completely else, I was not pleasantly surprised. I was disturbed, but on the same time, I was like, I would, I do this for free, ma'am. I love what I do. It's just disappointing when I come friendly and open to do business with you, and I see that. And I think this lady felt ashamed, and she said that she's so sorry for this, but she personally was paid $124 dollars for this job per hour. So whoever offered her the job knew what type of job was it. They offered the minimum for legal for this type of appointment, like the lower, for this type of language. They offer a reasonable price, and she resell this job to me, offering me 30 something, $30. And so I was very firm, not offending or anything. I just say that the real job is. Thank you, Alvaro. This is for you, actually. I'm so sorry you come late, but this is actually your question. Hello, Alvaro, Santa Cruz. Nice to hear from you. I actually read it in the beginning of the live. You should check the beginning of it. And so, when in humble way I communicate like my values and where I stand for, and if she couldn't afford it, it was, I would have maybe still work with her. It was a lady. Uh, when you are in this humble state of mind and you communicate yourself in this manner, if you do have dishonest people, like in my case was this day translation company, I did not say nothing about the overtime, or that I, because I did agree. The truth is that I agreed to take the job, and there was nothing I can do. Black on white, I signed a contract and I agree, and I didn't cover myself. And even for this $200 that they pay me from day translation, I just didn't want to know nothing about them. Um, all right. Yes. Thank you, Alvaro. And so day translation, I didn't even ask for more money. I just wanted to be done with them because of how nasty they were sending me these emails and pressuring me and gaslighting me and not answering my questions. So if you have somebody that is dishonest and ignores your questions and ignores your requests, just drop it and walk away from them. This is not an opportunity. This is a nightmare. This is a headache for you. And trust me, you deserve better. I deserve better. And walking away from this type of people always makes your life better. And sometimes it's the hardest thing to walk away from people that are not worthy, and you just want to believe in them, unfortunately. And this lady, she spontaneously decided to give me some extra cash, the second type that was video remote. um she just felt ashamed, I guess. And and I think the reason why is because I was in a very humble manner. I addressed it and I said, we all do this business, we all do money. It's just not beautiful to do this, I really told her before we work together that I want to have a good relationship with someone. The money is additional thing. Yes, the money is good, the money is beautiful, we love money, we like money, we want to have them, spend them, have fun with it whatsoever. But the matter of the fact is that I noticed another thing in business because I used to work in this trade fair. There was this, so I was working for the trade fair itself, and they were paying me very good money. Maybe people here don't take this amount in. I will tell you, I will just tell it like this. I was taking, if you separate your monthly income of $2,000, I was taking 1/3 of it for one day. So you can make the maths. I don't want to brag. Of course, I was not working 30 days in a trade fair. I was working 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 days a month. But this was very extreme, very intense work, simultaneous interpreting in the business meetings. I don't know if somebody of you have done this. This is extremely drowning. After the fourth day, I lose my voice. I'm antisocial. I just go home and I sleep. This is how hard this job is. It's not only that there is hundreds of people talking, noise, lights, this flashlight, TV screens, advertisement, people selling, laughing, cracking, talking on the phone. All the noises that are happening around you is making you so tired. And so having this background and coming here and having these little crooks, because I don't know how else to call them, these people, and then thinking with myself, you think, guys, with yourself, who you get upset with, because these people are just not capable of doing business and building solid relationships, unfortunately. And I can say that I do have a business education. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't want to comment or put anybody down. But the matter of the fact is, if you deal with someone like this, sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they don't know. And I think it's always reasonable not to get upset and angry, but give them the doubt, no? And just communicate that the job was different. And I remember I had someone that stipulate me like that for for few interpretation sessions, and I only did the first one, and I, because I was so disturbed by how dishonest they were, I canceled the second and the third. They were 4 or 5. I said, no, I'm not willing to do this. I wish you good luck, though. When I noticed that the contract was understipulated for me, I was underpaid, I cut it, and I said, if you guys are willing to pay me the amount that this work actually cost, I'm here. Thank you and have a good day. So being firm and doing business doesn't mean being angry and frustrated and like, because sometimes people do stipulate contracts and they don't know how it's going to be the call. They don't. Sometimes people do stipulate contracts and they do know the type of the calls because they get paid specifically for legal, and they are taking advantage of you because a lot of interpreters I noticed this after COVID. They tried to sign me for $17 an hour, and I told her that even a cleaning lady takes more. And I was pressured for many hours by this recruiter to sign this $17 an hour, and I refused. And when I hang up the phone with her, I was convinced that I will never hear from her back again. And for my surprise, she called me. So once again, when this thing happened, you would normally notice on the first call. But let me tell you another thing about the telephone interpreting. A lot of people sign low because they think, if I sign low, I'm going to have work. Yes, you are going to have work. If you sign for $17 and you speak Russian and I speak Russian and I'm signed for $30, you're going to have one call after another until your brain is burned out and you start to shout and scream and you cannot handle any more of these people fighting with each other. Me, I probably work less than you, way less, and I do more money. I will get you residual calls because there is, oh, this is why you can ask a dignity money in telephonic. There was always going to be residual calls. There is no company on earth that can predict the call volume in 1 minute. Nobody. They have maybe one client, and this client say, oh, maybe we need 2 to 10 hours. But then it happened something, it happened an emergency. And in this 1 hour, they need 25 interpreters and they don't have them. So even if you stipulate it for $1, for $30, for $60, you all gonna have work. I probably should not say this, but I gotta tell you that you have to know your value. And once again, don't get crazy for money, but be reasonable. You can go online and search how much money your client is stipulated telephonical calls their contract for. Some companies are stipulated for 60 for your language, some people 80, some people 120. Every company win a different ban for government bid contracts, and they are stipulated differently the money that they will receive from the government from your work. So if your company you provide services for, let's call language line, is stipulated for $135 flat rate every language, doesn't matter if you speak some Cambodian slang or Mayan slang, they will take $135. Or if you speak very common language like Russian, you know, it doesn't matter for some companies what languages because they have a flat rate with the government, $80 an hour. So even if they speak language like Russian that is very cheap and Spanish, they still get $80. Even if they speak Thai, they will get $80. And to you interpreters, well, they can pay you 20, 30, depends on how you guys stipulate the contract. So in the end of the day, each of your clients receive different money for the same language. There is company that is stipulated to receive $80 per Russian, and there is company that receive 135. The same language, the same service, medical consecutive interpretation session. Different contracts, different places. In some places they needed more, so they pay more. In some places they needed a lot, and they are willing to pay to make sure that they have this language. And you are in the middle of this game between the government and this intermediate company. I am in the middle of it, and I want to be one of these companies that provide services directly for the government, which probably I don't have the balls to start to do this. Wow, I'm going to address your question in a second, but you have to understand that the contract that this company signs with the government, the bids that they win, are sometimes 3 years, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, depend. They are different length. And the money are different. And also different interpreters have different value. I will tell you, being a great on a bilingual test doesn't mean that you have the skills to do the calls. I have a lot of calls in this Russian line residual today, Saturday. A lot of people doesn't know how to dial out. They just can't. They just can't work with the computer systems. This morning I worked 3 hours. I did dial outs, and I know why, because I know that other interpreters are not able to have one device where they interpret and another device that they have to dial a number, type a note, merge the calls together. You do two, three things at the same time. And at the same time that she gives you the numbers, you're gonna take also the notes for the voicemail. And the same time, once she finished to talk, you have to be able to go to this other system and dial and then merge the call in a way that come to your phone. So being a great at testing, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a great interpreter, and the companies that works with interpreters know. So when you stipulate yourself for services like customer care, dialing out, transferring to a different language and all that, you have to be willing to be paid for this, or know your value and know your price. Let's see. Allow me. So I have always thought about over the phone interpretation. Never thought you could get the chance trying it. Oh, you should try it. Okay. I promised to someone to create a videos the good side of working for Siracom, and I'm gonna record this video this week. I hope maybe now after this live, after I get a break because my voice is getting exhausted now. But um, there is companies that are willing to hire you without experience. And I will tell you one of them is Stratus, although I would personally not go back to work for them. But Siracom, it's like a great school. It's very rough on you, but they do launch you and they let you work. You work, work, work. They massacre you with negative comments. They abuse you. They bully you. Yes, I create like 5 videos about what they do with you, but you learn. You don't need experience for me. I was so scared to start the medical interpreting. uh, you imagine, I come from business. I had to dress, be there at 8 o'clock, meet the buyers, go to the stands. I have never done medical. And when I was contracted for and also never the phone. Would phone? No, I do in person, business to business. I have a cabin headset sometimes, depend if they do contracts, whatever is happening. And here suddenly I was doing telephonic. I was terrorized. I was used to have the people in front of me to read their body language, to know how they feel, to know how to switch the session, to know how to be a little bit more diplomatic, to know how to express. And suddenly there is nothing. It's just a phone. So I used to be terrorized by phone, but I think it's just just do it, as Nike said. Just do it, just try with it. And seems like you speak one of these, I don't know if that's going to be Thai or some of these rare beautiful languages. You're going to be able to find job as a telephone interpreter. And said that, that was my live, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking. If you did find this video useful, do press like, share, subscribe. I hope this information was useful to you. I am going to make again once a month lives for everyone where I'm gonna address your comments and your questions. There is only 1 person, 2 person watching me. I just want to say thank you, guys. I'm gonna go back to the old schedule. Live once a month. There would be live for members only. I normally do it. I put live for members, or I publish a video for them. So I'm back to life. My eyes are better now. I'm recovering, although they're still very hurtful to me. Thank you for being here, and you can join me. You can press the join button, $2.99. I will address your question, and $7.99. There is a folder with videos that are for members only, where you can know a little bit better what I do and for who I work, and what I do and how I think. Know me a little bit closer. And then there is this link. I don't know how it's called, but if you want to donate money, I noticed that my mic is not always working perfectly, and you can donate any amounts you feel like it. Said that, thank you, and bye bye.